Piyush says, what are your views on India purchasing US drones worth $3 billion? Is it a bit expensive? If so, what should have been done of those $3 billion instead of purchasing drones? We do need drones. So these drones that are being referred to here are those Reaper drones, I believe, MQ-9 Reaper or something. I think that's what it's called. Now, these drones are high altitude, high endurance drones, and these are hunter killer drones. So they are not only used for surveillance; they carry a significant, not very massive payload, but a significant payload. They can carry bombs, missiles, various things. They can be used for uh, surveillance in the maritime domain over sea. Yeah, they can be used to take out various targets at sea. They can be used in mountainous terrain. They can be used high above the India, let's say India China border, look deep into Chinese occupied territory, and maybe if required, take some action, that sort of thing. The Americans have in the past used these drones for anti terrorism operations in Pakistan and Afghanistan. Yeah, and the British operate some of these drones. I think even the French may have some of them, and so on and so forth. So this is a very well proven system. It's obviously very expensive. Yes, I 30 drones for $3 billion, $100 million per piece. That's a tad expensive, one would say. But India does need these drones. I would say that maybe this purchase is a stopgap purchase. We need a few drones right now. Let's acquire these drones, use them for now, use them for the next 10 years or so. In the meanwhile, develop our own drone technology. I don't think it's very difficult to develop our own indigenous drone technology. We already have some Rustam or some drone, medium altitude uh, kind of drone. Yeah. So we are doing that. We have acquired Israeli Heron drones. I think India needs to invest significant amounts of resources into developing our own versions of these high altitude, medium altitude, and long endurance drones. Right? What's a long endurance drone? Typically, a drone that can loiter and stay in the air for 10 hours plus, more than 10 hours, with a significantly good payload. And there are two varieties: medium altitude and high altitude. So medium altitude would be less than 10 kilometers, I would say, maybe 5 or so kilometers up in the air, and high altitude is 10 plus 10 to 15 kilometers up in the air, that sort of thing. So the MQ-9 Reaper drone is a high altitude, long endurance drone. So I would imagine that India does need these drones. They're expensive, yes. Or anything you purchase from the Americans is going to be expensive. It's going to cost you money. Yeah. So I think it's a stopgap arrangement. The Turks have developed their own drones. I forget the name. It's a Turkish name. Good drones. Yeah. Even the Iranians are developing drones. The Chinese have their own drones. So India should get into this thing, and India should also develop its own drone technology for a family of various kinds of drones: medium altitude, high altitude, and long endurance, that sort of thing. Hunter killer drones, surveillance drones, whatever. We need to do that. Get your act together. HAL, DRDO, whoever is involved in this, needs to happen. So yes, it is something that most likely India needs right now. Until we have our own indigenously designed and developed drones, we would need to acquire a few drones as a stopgap measure, as a temporary measure, and to keep Uncle Sam happy that we are buying your weapons. So there's also a geopolitical and diplomatic, most likely, angle to this, to tell the Americans that we are not buying everything from the Russians. We are also buying your weapons, and we are spending some money on that. So it serves multiple purposes. So yeah, I think it's a necessary evil. Get some drones from the Americans. They are good drones. I'm sure they are well proven. They do work. They're effective. So get these drones. I don't think it's finalized yet, but it's in the final stages of approval, or whatever it's called, this entire deal. So maybe by the end of this year, the next 4 or 5 months, we will the ink it will be the signatures will be done, and soon enough, India would be able to acquire those 30 pieces of aerial hardware. The long term game is to develop our own drone technology and become self sufficient in all these military hardware and software matters.